This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. Welcome to the June 10th meeting of the Traffic Board for the City of Binghamton. Present Jared Cram, John Ryan from Binghamton Police Department, Ron Lake from City Engineering, Mark Donovan from the Department of Public Works. I think we're still working on getting the minutes correctly up to date from some of the old meetings. Okay, so that's still in progress and getting a slate of those, so we'll hold off on that. But the first item on the agenda is 23 College Street. This is a resident request that came in via Sophia Resinetti via me to traffic.
Yes, 23 College got a request to put no parking in front of his residence. His name is Mr. DeRosa. He was concerned about the backing out of his driveway. His house is at an intersection in his driveway. When he backs out of his driveway, the cars are parked in front of his house, his line of sight backing out. Not only is he worried about cars on the street, driving down College Street where he lives, but also the intersection with Clark Street, cars come up that way. We went over and surveyed the area to see what his concern was, and while we were there surveying, he responded to us outside his house to talk with us. And he further implicated the fact that, not only is the two items I previously mentioned, the line of sight issue with cars and the intersection with the driveway at the intersection, but with school children in that area, because on the northeast corner, on the northwest corner is an elementary school, and also school buses passing through the intersection. Initially, our thought was that he really didn't need it, but with the added information from him and reviewing it, we felt probably that for a safety issue, it would probably be a better thing to, since it's just going to affect his house, put a no parking zone in front of his house. So we're going to be recommending that we put a no parking zone in front of this house on the south side of College Street, beginning at a point 30 feet east of the northeast extending curb line of Clark Street and extending 55 feet west.
Okay, any questions on this? Okay, do we have a motion? Ron Lake makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mark Donovan makes a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next is just the follow-up discussion on the reserved parking on State Street. Dan, you went out and did some measurements there?
Yeah, this is for the parking on State Street outside City Hall, the former Binghamton Fire Department driveway area. Surveying the area, what we've found is that the area that is going to be involved is there's a driveway, a crosswalk, as well as the fire hydrant had to be taken into consideration. So the initial driveway section that we had to deal with, we had to narrow it down a little bit because of those two items. And so doing so, we were able to come up with 4 parking spaces for CAC only parking. And so we recommend that we amend the no standing zone on either side of the adjusted parking zone for the CAC parking only, and have the CAC parking from a distance of 281 feet south of Holly Street to 361 feet south. And this will be on the east side of State Street.
Okay, so that'll allow us to get the 4 spots.
It'll give you 4 spots.
Okay. All right, any questions on this? Do we have a motion? Ron Lake makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Chief Ryan seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The other thing on the IDC, the council person was from a few council people ago. Leah Webb is listed, so it might be an old template.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Mark, just get with Dan on those signs. I guess we'll have to, it's CACs for the crime analysis center.
Right.
So we'll have to.
Okay.
I'll have to build some.
And just for update purposes, if anybody got the IDC in the area of the start of the no parking zone, I had 254 listed initially, supposed to be 281 feet, from 281 feet to 361 feet. So if you do have a copy of the
Yeah, I don't have a
IDC.
copy of that with the numbers on it.
Okay, you don't? That's a-
He might not, but yeah, you guys get together with traffic and DPW
Yeah.
to get those signs in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been updated, so I got the numbers and I'll get them right up.
Yep.
All right, Belden Street. This came in from McFarland Johnson.
Yeah, Belden Street,
Oh, this is with
this
for
is a temporary
their parking, yeah.
parking, and we're supposed to meet
Yeah.
with
That's the bypass for on that.
Okay.
McFarland Johnson to review the, I guess, areas that need no parking, but we
Yeah.
haven't had a chance to meet up with them yet. I guess what it sounds like is they pushed back the start date on it.
They did the day after school, right?
That's when they'll close it up, but they're gonna start probably next week.
Okay.
They'll be doing some stuff, but the road won't be closed.
All right. Yeah, my thought on it is just to have traffic division meet with the construction engineers to just verify. And, we do this for a lot of public works projects where they need the road shut down or street closing or parking. So,
And all the signs are in the plans for.
Okay.
Okay, we haven't
It's
seen
been
the
approved
plans.
by DOT. So.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of a moot point, but just so there's coordination, so traffic division kind of knows.
The only other thing that's coming up is the light right there by Rice Markets.
Mhm.
We're gonna close the bridge at the east end. So we will leave that open. Originally, they were gonna have a bypass up further, which I think would cause more problems. They're gonna try just closing off the bridge at the end and then leave that light. But it might wanna go to a blinking light or, something we will work with DOT to get that worked out.
This is
Pure
the,
signal. So it won't be DOT, it's a city signal.
this is at Belden and Conklin.
Yes.
Okay. And there's a light there right now?
No, burn.
Oh,
Right here,
pardon. Okay.
the light right here.
Okay.
I know it's a city signal, but DOT is meeting with us out there.
Okay,
So
All right. So
we've been having them approve what we do.
okay.
okay. So once we hear from DOT what their approved plan is, we'll have to let DPW know and Merkel's
Okay.
crew. And all right.
And we won't know that for a week or so.
No, like I said, this is something that's different from traffic boards. So we don't need to have it on the agenda moving forward, but let's just make sure that coordination is happening
Okay.
behind the scenes.
Right.
Okay, so that item is complete. Okay, State Street.
Okay, State Street, we got an ID, we got a request to see if there could be parking on both sides of State Street between Henry and Lewis. Traffic Division and Cindy Paddock from BMPS responded up to that location. We measured out the area, and State Street doesn't seem to be wide enough to handle traffic for both directions with parking on both sides of the street. The street on the northbound is 2 feet wider than the southbound, and so that would cause a conflict in traffic passing in both directions. Also, at the forum there with tractor trailers, when they come in to do shows and stuff, when they had tractor trailers parked on the street, that's created more of a congestion in that area as well. So because the street is 2 feet shorter on the southbound width-wise than it is on the northbound, just to be able to be appropriate to go ahead and have parking on both sides.
Is that just the function of where the center line is?
It is, but the other problem with the west side of State Street, there's a bunch of driveways there too.
Mhm.
Garages. You don't really get, when we were out there, it just didn't seem like you get even maybe a couple in, but then it becomes too narrow when you have parking on both sides in those locations. with the
Okay.
traffic being two-way.
Is there, is there kind of a standard? Because if the answer is that the geometry of it doesn't work with the width of the street, that's, I think, what we kind of constantly hear is, people do park on that side of the street, all the time. And I think, Nate, you were on a call we had with some of the downtown business owners, and I think some of them had got tickets. Some of their customers had gotten tickets because they were parked there, didn't see the signs, whatever. And they thought that, well, look, Washington Street downtown is kind of a narrow street. Collier Street's a narrow street, that sort of thing. So they were just asking, is it even possible from a width standpoint? I don't know what the smallest lane widths you can have in a downtown
I
area.
think it'd be tight during like the majority of the day when you have more traffic on there. I mean, probably in the evening, like late at night, there's probably not that much traffic on State Street. But during the day with the tractor trailers and the trucks that come in there for deliveries and use State Street, I think it would be pretty tight.
Okay.
And I think you'd only get, when we were out there, not even a handful.
Or maybe.
Yeah, because of the way the curb cuts are there and the garages.
Yeah.
Yeah, Washington. Exactly.
And I also, with the Deco district plans, I'll have to take another look at what they're doing on State Street. I don't know if they're even calling for parking on both sides. I mean, I know that they're talking about, curb bump out, a mid-block crossing
Yeah, there
type
was
of
some
thing.
parking eliminated too, I think, even with the Art Deco.
There was.
district plans.
There was. So,
Well, to answer your question on the standards that we use for parking spaces, we use an 8-foot width.
okay.
For travel lanes, we use the 10 to 12 foot lane to travel. And for the center line, that's another foot on top of that. So when you put them all together,
It would be tight for you.
very, very tight, because that's less than 36 feet that we measured with the width of the street.
Okay, so the width of the street is less than 36, and what you really mean is you need, 20, well, you need basically 37
37, 38.
at least, okay,
Short.
Otherwise, cars are going to be
sure.
kind of rubbing each other.
And that's a national standard, right? Yeah, okay. Just so I can kind of report back to some of the business owners, say, look, we looked at it, but it's just not wide enough from a safety standpoint.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's,
And the fact that you're gonna go out and do stuff with the Art Deco project too,
yeah,
you might want to do it as a comprehensive, 'cause I think that there might have been some parking lots along State Street. When I was counting up spaces, I remember when I reviewed that, but I know in that area, there were some spaces being lost. I don't know if they were on State or on
yeah,
another street around there, but
okay. So the width, it was 36 feet right now, and 38 was needed. Yeah, at least, okay.
And I also think the other thing is that some of these cars, when they pull up to the businesses there, do whatever business they're doing, maybe even loading or unloading, they're pulling up over the curb line in some cases to unload their vehicles or to deliver stuff or pick up stuff. So, they're even.
Okay. No, that's understandable. I appreciate you guys taking a look at it. I know it's come up in the past, but I just wanted to make sure I had the data for it. Okay. We can mark that item as complete. Thorpe and Crandall, always stop request.
Okay, Thorpe and Crandall, got a request from Mr. Jeremiah Brown requesting speed bumps on Thorpe Street and Jarvis Street and Walnut Street, and the always stop intersection at Thorpe and Crandall. Mr. Brown has complained about speeding up and down the street daily, creating noise and traffic hazards. The traffic division has no other complaints from anybody else on the street, only him. And so at this time, we'll monitor the area for speed. And we'll also try to follow up on the warrants for speed bumps. However, I think with speed bumps, I think we looked that up for another street and check out warrants.
city doesn't put a speed bump
No,
on the street.
we
So
don't.
I don't think you'd want to do that. And when we pulled up the crash history there were 3, but nothing.
There's actually only 2 that were
One was
intersection.
away?
Yeah, one was backing up a driveway from 41,
Yeah.
but there's two incidents at that location. One was in 2019 and one is from 2020. One was a vehicle coming off from Crandall Street onto Thorpe Street that failed to yield the right of way. The other was a vehicle turning from Thorpe Street onto Crandall Street that failed to yield the right of way. So at this time, there's no crash history to substantiate going ahead with making that a four-way stop intersection. In fact, even to further justify not making that a four-way intersection, Crandall Street on the north side intersection is a dead-end street. That's all the streets that come around Crandall Street onto Thorpe Street because the railroad tracks behind it. So really, there's no through traffic per se. It's really not justified to pursue making that a four-way stop at that intersection.
Okay. Any questions on that?
No.
All right. That item can be marked as complete. 116 Glenwood. This is the new business. I think it's a liquor store right in the corner of Prospect and Glenwood. They were looking for whatever on-street, maybe 15-minute parking they could get.
Yeah, what we wanted to do is we went up and reviewed again, traffic division and VMTS went up there. And we think we can put a couple of spaces there. However, there's an existing no parking zone in the area that we're talking about. And we want to check with the council person from that district to make sure that he's aware that that if we do take the no parking out, that he's not, we're not creating a problem for the residents that's at that location.
I can give you his cell phone number after the meeting if you can want to set up a time to meet with him.
Yeah, I think I do have that. I will get it from you just to make sure.
Okay.
Okay. But so anyhow, I would like to just keep that on hold for another month, just until
All right.
we have a chance to meet with them.
Pine Street, this was the no parking zones regarding the fire station development, allow for turning access for the fire vehicles.
Yes. What we did is we contacted the fire chief and actually went down there, met with the fire chiefs, EMTS and traffic division. And reviewed the area, and the chief was mentioning, the turning radius of the trucks coming and stuff like that, where we should probably have no parking. And we did get our measurements, and at this time we didn't put them down on paper yet because he says the project probably won't be going into effect until September 2022. And so we just wanted to hold off a little bit to see if there's anything else that would come up. The other thing that we talked about was the preemptive traffic light intersection, 4th Street and when the fire trucks leave the fire station, they're going to call. Usually when they're going down the street with the preemptive light, the light will turn green for them to come through the intersection and right for the cross traffic. It's usually a 2-second lead time that they need. However, coming out of the station there, they'll need, they won't meet that requirement. So he says that
They're gonna
working with.
Yeah, they're gonna preempt it from inside the building before they actually get on the street to use
Okay.
the truck preempter to do it.
Okay.
And he said they do that out here, so it'd be something similar. that they did.
Okay.
Okay, so,
And that's a DOT light
Yes.
out there? Okay.
Yes, yes.
yeah, so they're going to work with DOT on that.
Okay.
The other thing that's out there that we noticed too, and I don't know if it has to come up off the books or not, was that residential permit parking.
Oh, yeah. Back a few years ago when the baseball stadium, I don't,
When it first opened, so
Yeah.
it was back in like in the 90s.
okay, they had some kind of a parking.
For residents,
Yeah.
and you had to come in and you could get one so that you could park on the street and you wouldn't get ticketed, but they would have like, be able to use those parking spaces and not people who are attending the games. But I asked these guys, I don't know that that's even in effect anymore. So there's signs out there and it's in the area where you're gonna have to put the no parking. But those that probably needs to come off the books if it was ever put on the books.
Yeah, this came up, I think, my first year on traffic board, where they were looking to extend something or re-up something. It relates to west side parking.
Yeah, and I don't even know if the city hall still even gets out these.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah,
The
and-
signs are pretty old.
Yeah, very old. So why don't we put that on for next? Because the other thing too, is for our stadium district master plan,
Right.
I'm sure they're going to address some level of parking or transportation. So I will add that as a note to ask them to, not that we have one on the books or would want one on the books.
Well, I don't even know if it is on the book. It could be, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know.
I mean, had to be put in the book somewhere.
At one time.
There's like probably 4 spots just east of Lewis Street,
Mhm.
that are just west of Lewis Street, excuse me, that are those residential spots,
Yeah.
which,
And
Yeah.
on Pine they are too. So it is the area where you're gonna have to restrict the parking, so they're gonna have to come out, but.
okay. City's free Wi-Fi, right? Okay. All right, yeah, we can, want to add that for further discussion, residential parking. Next up is North Street. This is just kind of the ongoing discussion.
Yeah, at our staff meeting this past week, Jen has scheduled that for like the beginning of August. The staff time, just
Okay.
what it is. So that'll be a walking audit. She'll contact everybody who typically goes out in City Hall, engineering, the council person, traffic division, to schedule that. Just the way our schedule was, she said the beginning of August.
Great.
And it'll probably be Lee McCullen who's leading that up.
Okay. There's a policy meeting today, Cindy?
Yes.
Yeah, the mayor is up at NICOM, so he won't be able to attend.
Okay.
Jen was calling yesterday, I think, to see if he was going to be there, but
Okay.
he's,
Are you gonna, is anybody else?
I think I've got a conflict.
Okay.
Is it 2 o'clock today?
11 o'clock.
It's 11? Okay. I might be able to make it. I'll have to check.
Okay, I
Yeah.
was told not to.
Yeah,
Okay,
I forgot to call her back, so I'm sorry.
okay, I can do it.
Anyone have anything else, Dan?
Well, chief.
We've got some go ahead, Mark.
Well, the one about the fire hydrant, I got the email about that over on Patricia Street by West End Park.
Oh,
There was a fire hydrant there.
yeah,
The guys went over and marked it out. They're painting white crosswalks today. They're hoping to be done with that today. And if they are, they can switch the paint machine over to yellow and they'll get to it tomorrow. But if they don't get it to it tomorrow, they'll get to it first thing next week.
okay,
It's
yeah.
marked out, signs will go up and that will be painted.
All right, very good.
So there's that. And I do have one new item I'd like to bring up. And it's somewhat simple. Leroy Street, where that little business is between Chestnut and St. John.
Mhm.
There's no parking signs on every one of the 4 corners here at the corner. The 2 corners near Chestnut Street are fine. They're just a short spot. The other 2 on the south side of Leroy Street going towards St. John Avenue, it seems to me that no parking sign is at least, it's like almost, it's 30 some odd feet from the corner. And the one in front of the restaurant across the street, the Beef, is another one that's quite a ways in from the corner. I was wondering how far a designated no parking at the corner sign usually goes. I know it probably conflicts with if there's a driveway there or not. But the issue is now is the business owners have contacted us about people getting ticketed by parking in that area.
Okay, the standard that we use, if we don't bring the traffic board, right, 30 feet.
30 feet.
However, if we go out and measure a location, for no parking, we could,
And then
as long as it's approved by traffic board, we can increase it up to a higher number.
Alright.
So,
I guess I request that if you could, if you have a chance to take a peek at that.
so if it's at a higher number, then probably what's approved by traffic board is a traffic code, or should be in the traffic code.
Mark, you think it's higher, you think it's more than 30 feet?
I think, I'm pretty sure the one across the street from the Beef in front of that new building, it's a residential, like rental
Okay.
place next to the
So on the south side of the street, yeah.
Yeah, that one's quite a ways back. You can get at least 2 cars in between that sign and that corner. And I've seen 2 cars. Because I'm sure you have too, Cindy.
Maybe what we'll do is just go out, take a look at those, measure those and see where things are at and if we can, hey, if we can add another spot.
Yeah, I
that
mean,
would
it's gonna
be-
help the businesses
No
out. I
problem.
mean, if
That'd
you
be
want to
huge.
ticket somebody, ticket the guys that pull up and double park while they're running into the liquor store every day.
Yeah,
I mean, those are the guys that stop traffic on the street, you know?
all right.
I don't know the historical aspect of when the lights were studied there, if they moved the parking back for safety because those intersections were controlled by signage opposed to the signal.
Okay.
It may have been a safety issue to push it back for obstructed view.
And even maybe the one in front of the beef can be a handicapped spot.
So,
Go up there in the corner with a handicap spot added. They do have an apron out to the road there where it's cut, so.
so if the one on the south side is, say, it's, 50 feet, I'm just throwing that number out there. They want it shorter, and we find it's on the book as 50 feet, then we can have them make a request to bring, but we'd like to have something in writing from them, so we're not taking, making it seem like we're taking or making access to their location or,
Oh, you want the property owner himself?
yeah, it should come from them.
Okay.
That the request. If it's a safety issue that it was, then we have no problem doing it. But to change it, the access, we'd like to have in writing from somebody that we're not just going out there and changing things ourselves, just to change it because we have the authority to do it. So we'll be in touch with you on that.
And those one-way streets we shouldn't really even have one-way streets anymore, should we, in the
Well,
city?
It's sort of that, those particular ones, the one where you're talking, we haven't looked at, but as part of the North Street, the road safety assessment there, it's already come up from some people on staff to look at the one-way streets around North. Because I think in Blueprint Binghamton, when that was done even, it did talk about maybe getting rid of some of the one-way streets. Because they're not any narrower on the one-way sections than they are on other streets,
Yeah.
so why are they that way? So that was talked about as maybe including that as part of the RSA, looking at it and then modeling the impact that would have on the area if they some of them became two-way streets or all of them were two-way streets. So, I mean, I agree with you. Some of these one-way streets maybe don't need to be one-ways anymore.
You have the width, like you're saying.
Yeah, if you have the width
I mean, we can barely get a garbage truck down those streets now with cars parked on both
on
sides.
sides. Yeah.
Murray Street definitely can never be a one-way from Seminary to North Street.
Yeah,
I mean,
some of
that's,
those are super.
you park on one side of the street, and my garbage truck tires are rubbing on one side going down that road.
Well, and that brings up another issue. In the past, we talked about those islands where the garbage trucks have been trouble getting around.
Oh, yeah, around Crestmont,
Yeah, Crestmont.
yeah, because they park their cars in the street.
Because of the pandemic, I don't think I think that got.
Well, what happened was we sent out letters to the neighbors and they were vehemently opposed to doing any sort of changes
Okay.
to that.
And even the long maintenance guys park their trucks in the pass-throughs between the islands, so, because they know that their trucks are wide enough and nothing can get by them. But besides the driveways over there, the amount of room, that shouldn't be any parking.
It was suggested by one of the residents that, if it, continues to be a problem, I know sometimes in the winter time it may be worse, but that, the traffic division kind of follow a truck and see if there's somebody that's blocking the road or parking, illegally or something, that they get ticketed and held accountable.
Our drivers are pretty vehement about calling in if there's cars in the way. Those guys aren't very shy about calling you guys up about getting a car.
Good.
It's not just us, it's fire apparatus and anybody else. The officer's trying to get down there for disturbance or something. I mean, you're trying to swing off the St. John Ave onto King Street and they got cars parked on both sides of the street there. You're kicking up. It's.
Yeah. Okay. I know we've got a couple callers on. Heather, do you want to address the traffic board? The floor is yours.
Yes, I sent in a traffic application yesterday. Did you get it?
I did not. Who did you send it to?
to your office. The secretary came down and took it.
Okay, yeah, if it was the letter, I did not open that yet. I'd not sorted my mail from yesterday yet.
It was addressed to you for the traffic board for today.
Yeah, I mean, I got it just yesterday. I haven't sorted my mail from yesterday, so I have not read through what you sent it.
Okay. I'm kind of discouraged. Myself and my two next door neighbors, and Bill Lane is on the phone right now, are requesting that you do something about the speed limit. These trucks are coming up and down our road. They are not following the speed limit. They are not covered. I know you've had the police up here, but you know what? It didn't do any good. Everything is the same as before. And like I said, these dump trucks are coming up from the 434 project, full of dirt. Crap is coming out everywhere. And you know what? It's okay. It's because it's just us. Nobody is following up on anything. And we are mad. I'm really mad. And it says right in the New York State Consolidated Laws, Vehicle and Traffic, Title 3, Section 388. And there's a copy in the mail. What has to be covered? I'm not going to read it because I took it up there yesterday, and I don't understand why you didn't open it, but that's not my business. But I'm just very discouraged. Bill?
Yep, I'm here. Same thing. I'd been away most of the winter, but when I came back, it's the same old thing. And we've even put some signs up, our own signs. Heather and her husband did. Please slow down. It doesn't make any difference. They just keep going by. And as she said, the trucks, I think that the truck traffic has gotten worse since I came back than it was before. Just complete disregard for whatever kind of traffic signage you want to put up, or I don't really know what the answer is. And speed bumps, you don't want to put the speed bumps up on a heavily trafficked road. They might create more problems than they're worth. So the question is, how does one cope with this? How does the city address what could be done?
The only thought I had is if the city doesn't want to send the police up for the man hour, the power, the time, we need cameras that are going to click on the license plate and write these people a ticket. Something has got to be done.
So thank you, Bill. Thank you, Heather.
Now, please let me say one other thing. There's a gentleman, ex-retired fireman from the city of Binghamton, who bought a townhouse, maybe 6-8 months ago on the corner of Old Pennsylvania Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue. And I just met him for the first time about a week ago. And his comment was, if I had known the traffic was going to be this heavy and this noisy on Pennsylvania Avenue, I never would have bought this unit. So.
And I think that goes for all of us. We would have moved out of the city.
So I appreciate the comments. I think that, and I said this at the previous meeting, is that the traffic board as a policy board, we set and make changes to the actual traffic code of the city. I believe that, to the extent of where we can alleviate the concerns that you have, I'm not sure that we can do as a traffic board anything else. There are no additional codes to change. There are no additional areas to add restrictions, that type of thing. What is at this point is strictly a speed enforcement issue. I know Chief Ryan has communicated some statistics when there was some speed zone control being done in that area. The prominence of trucks, that is the main route into the town of Binghamton. It is an allowed road for that sort of truck traffic. Certainly, if there are violations from a DOT safety perspective on these heavy equipment vehicles, that is a concern, but it strictly is an enforcement concern. The traffic board, and I know you listened to a lot of what we were talking about today with what's actually in the traffic code. We do not have the capabilities of doing, I think, what you're thinking. But the Binghamton Police Department does, and they will continue to in the future enforce when resources are available. The nature of the road in that area of the city is the cause of everything. It is viewed by many drivers as a rural area where they're either coming in from a higher speed zone or ramping up from a lower to a higher speed zone. Chief Ryan, I don't know if you have any other comments about the resources that you've allocated in that area for the South Side cars, which was pretty extensive, correct?
Correct. When there's available manpower and resources, we assign traffic details to that area and continue to do so.
I'm sorry, Chief Ryan, but you know what? I respect the work that you do, but when you have available people, why can't somebody sit here? I'm sorry, we are paying their wages. We are paying city taxes, for goodness sakes. Why can't somebody sit here for 2 or 3 days and watch the nonsense that we have to tolerate? I can't even have my windows open. These trucks are not going the speed limit because, number one, the other thing I had in that packet is you can't even see the new speed limit sign because the trees are overgrowing it. Somebody needs to come up here and do something. We get the feeling you just don't want to hear from us, and I'm probably sure that's true. But until something is done, tell me who has the authority to do something. Who has the authority? If you don't, who does? I'll go to the state, I'll go to the governor. I don't care. But just tell me where to go.
You are, the city of Binghamton, from an enforcement perspective, can enforce people breaking the speed limit laws, whether that be construction vehicles.
Why don't they?
They do when resources are available. But even if a car was posted there for 24 hours a day, they eventually need to address other areas of the city for other parts of the city that have the same concerns that you do. Speeding on Riverside Drive, speeding on Conklin Ave. We do not have unlimited resources and can allocate those resources as necessary. At the same time, police officers are responding to complaints of violent crimes or other major crime issues. So it's possible to be done. The fact that the city is not allocating the resources that you feel that you deserve, I hear you, and we can always look to make this a priority. But I cannot say that we will allocate a police vehicle to do radar in front of your house for a period of time, because as soon as they leave and are not enforcing, the speeds will go up again, and it will not fix the problem.
Yeah, then why not just put the speed bumps in, huh? Then you don't need anybody.
That's right. Just put in the speed bumps.
Go ahead.
We have
put the speed bumps
on our
in.
driveway.
If there's no other solution and manpower is a concern, which I understand, I fully understand it, then put the speed bumps in. Maybe you put them in for, they don't go in for eternity, but maybe you put them in for 6 months, see what happens.
They do make removable speed bumps.
All right. Heather or Bill, I'll give you guys the last word here before we close the meeting.
Okay. Well, I've said what I've said what I have to say. You know, it's unfortunate, and I know other sections of the city have similar problems, but so why not give it some consideration then? Put them in temporarily. See if that doesn't slow some of these cowboys down.
Okay. Bill, Heather, thank you for calling in.
Yep.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? Ron makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.